My warm greetings to everyone. I'm James Koo, one of the co-authors of the book entitled St. Patrick's Tawau, 1917 to 2017, the story of an Anglican church and its schools. This book captures the vibrant history of the development of St. Patrick's Church and schools from its humble beginnings in 1917 to what it is today. It tells in text and pictures the early pioneering days, the challenging and transformative years that follow, to the present maturity and diversity. It is a story of visionary leaders with an emphasis on service towards others and educational excellence and fruitful engagement in Sabah and beyond. It is a rich and authentic collection of the reflections of those who had been involved in the development of both the church and the schools. Mr. Kanyao Chong, an ex-student and award-winning journalist who did 2 feature articles on the book published in the Daily Express newspaper, summarized it as a book that goes back 100 years to identify the pioneers and founders of a thriving St. Patrick's Anglican Church and a top school in Sabah, paying long-deserved tributes to all those who had labored over a century to make it happen. The joyous and memorable centenary celebrations in July 2017 were truly a time of thanksgiving.
Ken Goodlett here. K.M. George, James Koo and I, the 3 co-authors of this book, have had a close association with and love of St. Patrick's Church schools for over 50 years. In the 1960s, K.M. was principal, I was vice principal, and James was a student of St. Patrick's Secondary School. Sadly, K.M.'s recent death has meant that he just missed holding a copy of this book in his hands. I enjoyed my work on this project as both a writer and editor because I still feel connected to the school, church and Tawau town. I've had the pleasure of working with talented and enthusiastic people, James Koo, K.M. George, the translators Evelyn Ten and Annie Chu, and so many others. In early April this year, I had an emergency surgery for a massive brain bleed. I'm so grateful that I had almost completed my work on the book before this happened. Since then, my eldest son, Matthew, once for a very short time a student of St. Patrick's, has stepped in to work with James Koo on final details of publication Thanks, Matt and James. And thank you, everybody.
My dear friends, on behalf of St. Patrick's Church and Schools, I would like to thank the late Dr. K.M. George, Mr. Ken Goodlett, and Dr. James Koo for their dedication and hard work to produce this wonderful and concise history of St. Patrick's Church and Schools. I would like to encourage you to get a copy of this centenary book. It is an easy read book, beautifully illustrated, with photos and events capturing the past 100 years of faithful service, hard work, struggles, and breakthroughs. I trust that at the end of reading this book, your hearts will be lifted up with thanksgiving and gratitude to God, to all the people who literally gave their all to serve us, to St. Patrick's Church